5 years after my debut, I was still a nobody. So I had no choice but to go home and enter a marriage of convenience with a man I'd never met. My intended loathed me, skipped the wedding, and called to lay down 3 rules. Hi, I'm in love with someone, so don't waste your time on me. You can go find whoever you like. I won't interfere. This marriage is just a transaction. We'll divorce in a year. Get your head around it now. And don't you dare make a scene and refuse to sign when the time comes. He hung up the moment he finished. I, meanwhile, stood at the study door. Stunned, his shelves were packed with my merch. I'd changed my name and fought my way into showbiz for 5 years. People threw resources at me, yet my career never caught fire. Maybe because I literally ran cold and, well, never got hot. So I had to bow to my parents and keep my promise to go home and marry. The groom-to-be, so friends said, was Jason, the aloof, tight-lipped, razor-handed eldest son of the Smiths. Jason had a dangerously seductive face, a born tempter. He made people drop their guard and take him for a gentle, urbane man. In truth, he was cold-blooded and cutting, unmoved by sentiment, with nothing in his eyes but profit. As my friend talked, their voice turned sympathetic. Isabel, everyone feels for you. Marrying a cold, heartless guy like that, God knows what kind of hell you'll be living in. I clenched my phone. After a long silence, all I managed was a helpless wry laugh twice. Then, I hung up. I opened the dashboard of my social app and sent out the retirement statement I'd parked in drafts forever. I might be a total Z-lister, but I still had a few diehards. The moment the post went live, those familiar IDs flooded my DMs. In the sea of messages, the handle Q jumped out. No one could be more familiar to me. For the past 5 years, whenever I posted, he was always the first like, the first comment my ride-or-die superfan. He also had top-tier gear. Every photo he dropped was a crisp, god-tier shot. He'd poured piles of money into supporting me, so the other fans affectionately called him Brother QQ. On his profile, the pinned post was a compilation of my edits, and a hand dance he'd learned from me. He never showed his face, but every move was earnest. What really made him unforgettable were his comments. No flowery praise, no over-the-top confessions, just one line. Simple to the point of stubborn. Hope you're happy every day. But today he broke his pattern. A dense block of text filled the chat window. He wrote about stumbling on my video in his darkest days. About how one offhand sentence of mine got him through a sleepless night. How his fingers trembled every time he saw I'd updated. In the end, as if he'd used up the last of his strength, he said, measured and sincere, "I'm sorry if this is forward, but I still want you to know, to me, you're a beam of light, a lifeline, the reason I keep going. These 5 years of knowing you, I've been happy every single day. Isabel, you're as important to me as life itself." I stared at the screen and spotted several typos in a row. He must have been in a rush, fingers shaking. Eventually so rattled he couldn't even steady the keyboard. My eyes stung when I finished reading. I answered him just as seriously. "Thank you for 5 years of support and affection. I hope you're happy every day. If fate allows, we'll meet again." After replying to every DM one by one, I took a deep breath, swallowed the reluctance, and prepared to deactivate my account. Then I suddenly saw my fiancé's name climb to no, one on the trending list. Jason crying in his car. I clicked in. A 10-second video auto-played. Sodium yellow streetlights etched Jason's sharp profile. His long lashes were lowered. His shoulders trembled. Tear tracks clear on his face. He radiated the brittle, near-desperate air of a man about to shatter. The comments blew up. "OMG, the big bad Jason is crying. Did the sun rise in the west today? I'm dead. What was that creepy noise? Thought boss Jason's car was haunted. Yikes. Whatever you are, get off our Mr. Jason." So what on earth could make that cold-blooded demon king cry? With that, people launched into theories about why Jason was in tears. Some said it was the misery of a forced marriage. Others said work had pushed him to the brink. Whatever the reason, I wasn't interested. I skimmed a couple lines and went to sort out my exit with my agent. At 2 in the morning, I dragged myself home. I'd barely unlocked my phone when I saw the man from the morning's hot search in my friend requests. His note was just 2 words. Jason. I hesitated for 2 seconds and opened his profile. His avatar was pitch black, his bio blank white, his username a single Z. Everything about him said, "Keep your distance." I rubbed my throbbing temples and hit accept. Jason quickly sent a voice message, his tone cold and remote, like a man dealing with a nuisance he couldn't shake, hanging on to the bare minimum of courtesy. "Hello, Ms. Isabel. I'm Jason, your marriage match." I don't do voice notes, so I typed, "Hi." Jason wasn't in the mood for small talk. He went straight in. "I'm already in love with someone, and I'll only ever love her. So after we marry, don't waste your time on me. Our marriage is just a transaction. I don't mind an open marriage. You can go see whoever you like. I won't interfere. Likewise, you don't interfere with me. Isabel, I hear from your father that your beloved first love is overseas. I happen to travel abroad a lot for work. I don't mind taking you along and creating chances for you to meet." I was stunned. "You mean you'll cover for me so I can see my first love?" Jason. "Yes, that's exactly what I mean. After all, I don't want you clinging to me. It's best if you have someone you like that would put me at ease." I had no idea what to say. "Go on. What else?" Jason. "Also, I want you to remember, our marriage lasts only a year. A year from now we'll get divorced. Don't you dare cry and refuse to sign. When the time comes, it'd disgrace both our families." Me. "Fine. Don't worry. I won't." Hearing my promise, Jason finally exhaled in relief. "By the way, Miss Isabel, I don't think we need a wedding ceremony. And of course, there's no need to fulfill any marital duties in bed. We don't have to make our marriage public either. I don't want too many people knowing better for both of us." I had no objection, and agreed. After rattling off his demands, Jason fell silent for a long while, probably worried he'd forgotten something. 15 whole minutes later, he finally confirmed everything and sent his last message. "That's it for now. Sorry, Ms. Isabel, but you know I'm a businessman, and businessmen don't trust verbal promises. To prevent you from going back on your word one day, I'd like to draft a contract for us both to sign, okay? The contract will cover not just property division, but also everything we just discussed, like our marriage lasting only a year, no obligations, me covering for you to meet your first love, etc. Ms. Isabel, would that be acceptable?" I certainly didn't mind. "All right, Mr. Jason, draft it and send it to me." Jason sounded pleased. "I'll have it ready and sent over first thing tomorrow." I thought for a moment, then asked, "By the way, Mr. Jason, should we meet before we register the marriage?" Jason flatly refused. "No need. Waste of time. There's nothing worth meeting about. We'll see each other when we get the license in 3 days." Suited me just fine. I nodded quickly. Okay. Worried I might back out, Jason worked fast on the contract. By 4 in the afternoon, he'd already sent me an electronic copy. What I didn't expect was that the very next morning, around 6, he personally delivered a dozen pages of the hard copy to my house. While my dad chatted with him in the living room, my mom dragged me out of bed and shoved me into the bathroom to wash up. With a toothbrush dangling from my mouth, I hid at the upstairs corner, peeking at Jason on the couch. Exactly as my friends had described, Jason sat straight-backed on the leather sofa, long legs crossed. His tailored black suit outlined his tall, lean frame perfectly. A completely ordinary pose, yet with his striking bone structure and features, it somehow exuded a restrained, forbidden allure. No wonder my dad said Jason was his carefully chosen, top-notch match for me. But my eyes immediately caught the pink wristband hidden under his sleeve. Pink was my fan color, so I could always spot it among a mess of others. Still, with a face like that, Jason actually liked wearing a little pink band? That was amusing. While my dad kept sneaking glances at me, Jason sat like a meditating monk, not even his lashes twitching. His expression stayed cool as he let my dad put on a show. It was his way of proving he had zero interest in the fiancé who'd appeared out of thin air. My dad bit down hard and came clean. Jason, stay for breakfast before you go. Isabel's home too. You two can meet. Get familiar. Not necessary. Jason's voice was low, rich, edged with distance. Uncle Lopez, no need. We'll be stuck together plenty later, like it or not. There'll be no avoiding it, right? My dad tried to say more, but Jason cut him off cold. That's enough, Uncle Lopez. I'll take my leave. Then he turned and walked out. Just as I finished getting ready and stepped into the living room, Jason stepped out, shutting the door behind him without once looking my way. Might as well have carved "not interested" across the back of his head. No sooner had he left my house than I got a message from him. Ms. Isabel, I've sealed the contract and handed it to your father. Read it and sign when you're ready. Afterward, my secretary will collect it. I carefully read it through. Besides the terms we discussed last night, there was one final clear line. All benefits from the marriage would be split, 60, 40 him, 40 me, 60. And when the marriage ended, I'd still get a large sum of money. Put together, it was no small fortune, enough to keep me comfortable for life. I counted the zeros, reread the contract, and found my resistance to the marriage turning into unease about taking such a massive payout. Nervously, I asked, Mr. Jason, the contract doesn't say anything about you and the person you love. Did you forget? I was genuinely asking, but Jason's reply dripped with resistance and impatience. Ms. Isabel, don't test me. I know women are at a disadvantage in marriage, so I'd never do anything that'd make you a laughingstock. I fell silent. Yet even through a screen, I could picture Jason frowning at his phone, muttering, "Damn woman," daring to pry into my business, while adjusting his tone before replying, and I'd never let her be a mistress, not even in name. He paused there, and when he spoke again, his tone unconsciously softened, probably because he was thinking of the woman he loved. I'll wait until this marriage with you is completely over, before pursuing her, confessing, and being with her. Of course, that's assuming she still wants me, and isn't in love with someone else. Who'd have thought this ruthless CEO type could be such a romantic? After a beat, Jason added, "Oh right, send me your ID number." That made me wary. What for? Jason, the day after we get our license, I'm flying abroad on business to the city where your first love lives. Don't you want to see him? I'll just book your ticket too. I'll cover for you as promised in the contract. To the family, we'll say it's our honeymoon. I hesitated, my finger hovering over the screen. Jason, waiting too long for my reply, coaxed with surprising patience. Miss Isabel, this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance. Next time won't be this perfect. Think it through. Miss it now, and who knows when you'll meet again. Still, I wavered. After all, when we broke up, I'd blocked every single way of contacting that man. Jason said, "Your dad told me your breakup wasn't pretty. I've got a friend who's a relationship expert. He's best at fixing things between exes. I'll bring him along. He'll make sure you two patch things up." Slowly, I felt myself giving in. I could treat it like a trip, after all. Finally, I sent him my ID number. Well, all right then. Thanks for the trouble. Don't mention it. Jason's mood lifted in an instant, and his attitude toward me softened a shade. Yes, just as he'd said. He really was terrified I'd latch onto him. We'd originally agreed his secretary would pick up the contract, but at dusk, he suddenly texted, "Ms. Isabel, a meeting was just added to my schedule, so my secretary can't get away. Could I trouble you to bring it over? And I hope you can come in person today would be best. The sooner we sign, the sooner we can both rest easy." True, sooner signed, sooner settled. He was afraid I'd back out. I was afraid he'd quietly change the numbers. I glanced at the sheets of rain outside, steeled myself, and clambered out of bed. Luckily, Jason lived close by, 10 minutes on foot, and I was there. Standing at his door, I couldn't shake how familiar the setup looked like I'd seen it somewhere. I keyed in the code he'd given me, and the door opened. The houses in this development all share a similar layout. I found Jason's study without trying, but I froze at a rose-pink door that clashed with the entire house. Jason's place was all cool restraint. Cold white wallpaper, jet black furniture. Even the curtains were black. Only this door was pink, an eye-stabbing pink. I hesitated, then nudged the door open. The next second, a giant solo poster filled my view. I sucked in a breath, hardly believing my eyes. The person on the poster was me, a shoot from my second year. If I hadn't stumbled on it here, I'd have forgotten that photo existed. And the study held far more than a poster. Photo cards, keychains, magazines, every product I'd endorsed. Even the merch that came with the milk tea I repped. Every trinket was labeled with a date. Over a dozen boxes of memorabilia, all arranged with fussy care, treasured like heirlooms. I rubbed my eyes hard. No, I wasn't hallucinating. Even the angle of his desk and what sat on it looked familiar. I thought back, pulled out my phone to compare, and reached a shocking conclusion. The unfeeling, distant, contract-happy CEO, Jason, was in private, my die-hard superfan. Q. I hadn't recovered from that realization when Jason texted again. Ms. Isabel, I forgot to say the study where I want the contract is the one on the second floor, not the one downstairs. I touched my nose, embarrassed. Sorry, I already put it in the downstairs study. Jason sounded a little panicked. Then please drop it and leave immediately. And don't touch anything in there. Those things are extremely important to me. If you damage them, don't blame me for being rude. Relax. I set it down and came right out. Didn't touch a thing. I paused 2 seconds, then looked up again at all that merch. Some of it I couldn't even track down myself anymore. Yet Jason had kept each piece perfectly preserved, practically good as new. As I stared, a bold guess bubbled up. Mr. Jason, the girl you said you like, wouldn't she happen to be this actress? After a long silence, he answered solemnly. What do you know her? Or do you like her too? Are we standing the same person? Me. Haha. Jason. I let out a bitter little laugh. I probably don't know her. Jason sounded thoughtful, a touch disappointed. That's normal. She never really blew up. I was going to, once I fully took over the company this year, secretly feed her resources 1,000 times better than before. But she quit the industry. What's she going to do now that she's out? Will she get married within the year? No idea which lucky bastard would land her. He'd better treasure her, or I'll chase him to the ends of the earth, castrate him first, then cut him to pieces one way or another. I won't let him off. I wiped the sweat from my brow and ventured. By the way, Mr. Jason, you really think we don't need to meet before we register? Jason, yes. As I said, I'm certain there's no need. Me? All right. Just hope you don't regret it. His tone suddenly chilled. Miss Isabel, what do you mean? Are you regretting this? Planning to violate our agreement? Don't forget we've signed a contract. Don't even think about backing out. I gave a dry little laugh and texted back. Relax. I'm not. Still, he didn't sound reassured. Ms. Isabel, I recall the contract states there's a price to pay for breach. I smiled. I know. Don't worry, whoever backs out is the coward. He thought for 2 seconds. Then, like a straight-laced guy going all in, swore back. Then it's settled, whoever backs out. Whoever backs out is the coward. Heh. Mr. Jason, I'm sure plenty of people praise your IQ, right? Jason. Of course. I often take pride in my above-average intelligence. 3 days flew by. We didn't speak at all. On the day we were to get the license, I got to the registry office half an hour early. When Jason's Maybach rolled into view, I was still dozing against the wall. The moment he saw my face, he clenched the wheel, as if rooted to the spot. I didn't hesitate and walked toward him. Meanwhile, my phone buzzed nonstop. Jason was texting me. He'd thrown all his earlier coldness out the window, his tone excited and breathless. Miss Isabel, can we put off the license for a bit? I just saw her today. She's walking toward me. I want to say something to her. Just one sentence, please. Oh no. My heart's racing. Am I going to drop dead? I might today. I stopped in front of his car and tapped on the window with a fingertip. Jason lowered it slowly. His eyes churned with complicated feeling, even a kind of reverent awe, like he'd finally reached a long-dreamed moment. His fingers trembled uncontrollably. I met his gaze, smiled, and held out my hand. Hi, I'm Isabel. I paused, watching him go rigid. I tacked on, airy as a feather. Of course, you can also call me by my stage name, Isabel. The air froze. The smile on Jason's face cracked inch by inch. He went rigid for a long beat, not moving at all. But the call on speaker was still blaring. His brother kept yelling into the phone. Jason? You still there? You haven't answered me. Did you see Isabel or not? Mr. and Mrs. Lopez have always told people their daughter's sick, so they never bring Isabel out. Hardly anyone knows what she even looks like. I'm dying to know. Jason, say something. Did you see Isabel or not? Jason finally came to, stiffly ducked his head, and forced a single word through his teeth. No. His brother was shocked. You didn't see Isabel? Then who did you see? Jason was silent a long time, then slowly closed his eyes. My grandma. His brother. Huh? In the hot pot place's private room, broth bubbled and steamed. Jason and I sat across from each other. Our trip to get the marriage license had been pushed back, because the second he hung up, he shut his eyes and slapped himself twice. He'd swollen his own face and couldn't go on camera. And right now, the tips of his ears were blood red. No idea if it was from the slaps or something else. He'd just been trailing after me in a daze. From then to sitting down now, he hadn't said a word. He stared at the plates on the table, eaten up with regret, like he meant to bore 2 holes in them. I waved a hand in front of him. Jason? He jolted back to himself. His gaze paused on my face for a second, then darted away. He grabbed the bottle on the table and took a wild pull. He mumbled, "What?" I paused. "That's sesame oil." Jason froze, went green. Putu cough. Cough, cough. Ugh. I waited for him to deal with it, then spoke again. "It's nothing. I just wanted to ask if we're still buying rings." Jason blinked, then answered with a firm voice edged with hope. "Oh, of course we're." I cut him off with a wave and dug in my bag. "Okay, hang on while I find it." Here it is. At that, his eyes lit up all at once. Under the table, his hands clenched at the hem of his jacket. Then, under his brimming gaze, I pulled out the contract, flipped it open, and pointed at a page. "Oh, right. Almost forgot. You spelled it out right here. We don't need wedding bands." Jason's smile died on the spot. "No, I still need to check if there are any rules about eating." "Jason, don't start eating yet." I kept my head down, leafing through the contract. He pressed his lips into a line, shooting the document in my hands, a wounded look. "So, why are you still carrying that stack of junk around?" I shot him a glare. "How is it junk? 2 days ago you told me to keep it safe, preferably in a safe with a code. By the way, did you buy the safe?" Jason forced a smile. "Not yet." I nodded. "Then remember to buy one." Jason. "Okay." I put the contract away, then tilted my head at him. "Right. You're heading out on a business trip tomorrow, aren't you?" He froze, jaw clenched hard. "Yeah. And you're taking me with you?" Teeth still clenched. "Yeah. And you're taking me to see my first love?" Jason kept clenching, but refused to answer. "Aren't you supposed to run interference for me?" He practically ground his molars to dust. After a long, gritted pause, he lowered his voice. "Isabel, actually, I clicked my tongue and cut him off. I know what you're going to say. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance, and if I miss it, who knows when the next one will be, right?" I know. You don't have to say it again, Jason." "No. I know. You're bringing your buddy too, right? Don't forget." Whether I can get back with my ex all depends on you two. Go team, Jason. Gason. Actually. Okay. I know you'll cover for me. Thanks. What time's our flight tomorrow night? Jason's throat hitched. His voice trembled. Isabel. I turned my head. Yeah? Don't play me anymore. When he finished, his long lashes lowered, like he was about to cry. Boo-hoo. I'm sorry. I'm just an idiot. A top-tier idiot. A super idiot. The dumbest idiot alive. If I had even half a brain, I wouldn't have ended up like this. How could I be this dumb? When my mom gave birth, did she toss out the baby and raise the placenta instead? Am I a placenta that grew legs? Isabel, could you ignore that moron Jason from the other day? He's dead. Yeah, dead. Totally dead. I'm actually Jackson. As he rambled, near hopeless regret washed over his face. He shoved his chair back and dropped to one knee in front of me, then slapped himself a few more times, the blows coming out dull and heavy. I arched a brow. Jason had dressed to the nines in a black suit to get our license today. His jet black hair was slicked neatly back, showing just the right amount of forehead. He gave off a mature, bookish grace, and then used a puppy dog voice to ask me not to mess with him. I looked away, took a sip of ice water. Heat flared in my chest and left my throat parched. Ahem. Okay. Jason lifted his head, dazed, lashes clumped and damp, a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. I rapped the table, cutting him off. Enough. Shut up and eat. He hushed at once and sank back into his seat, all wounded obedience. After a while, he blinked his bloodshot eyes and asked carefully, Then, can we still get the license? I didn't get it. All I could think was that a big fat payday was about to land, and must not fly off. Why wouldn't we? Jason nodded, scrubbed at his eyes, and that one line made him a little less miserable. I really still have a shot? Oh, okay. But soon he lowered his head again, hemming and hawing. Then could you give me another chance to meet you again? I mean for Jason and Isabel to start fresh from now on. Get to know each other all over again, okay? Please. I'm begging you. I'm really begging you. Are all men this troublesome? What difference does it make? I frowned, impatient. Whatever. I'm fine with anything. Jason looked up in disbelief, eyes shining. I reached for a bottle of soda. Jason rushed to open it for me. I sniffled. He hurried to pull out 2 tissues and hand them over. I picked up a slice of steaming meat with my chopsticks. He leaned in and blew on it for me. When he was done, he lifted his lids and looked at me with pleading puppy eyes. Like a puppy angling for treats, tail wagging behind him, I suddenly lost my appetite. Jason, don't. His face went rigid. His Adam's apple bobbed. What? Didn't you say we could start over? I dabbed my mouth and said evenly, Don't waste your time on me. Feel free to like whomever you want. I won't interfere. And don't forget, this marriage is just a transaction. We're divorcing in a year, so get your head around it now. Best not to throw a tantrum and refuse to sign when the time comes. Those were your words. What did you forget? It was like his sky fell, his shoulders trembled, his hands dropped in despair. Oh, and I think I forgot to tell you, I never expected anything from this marriage. All I ever wanted was the money, from start to finish. You acting like this only gives me a headache. I hope you keep a clear head. With that, I stood. All right, you eat. I'm leaving. He finally snapped out of it with a whimper and instinctively raised a hand. I moved faster and shoved the contract into his palm, cutting off his grab. He steadied, saw what he was holding, and nearly passed out. Go home and read what you wrote twice. For someone so smart, your memory's not great. How'd you forget your own terms so fast? I straightened, took one last look at his knuckles, gone white, and headed for the door. In the glass, I saw Jason's silhouette trembling. He looked ready to shatter. From that day on, Jason dropped the icy pride and turned unbearably chatty. Good morning at dawn, good night at dusk. Endless puppy stickers. What he ate? How many meetings? How many contracts he called to report it all? I'm giving you my daily brief. I want you to know everything I do. Oh, right, Isabel. I accidentally refunded your ticket with a slip of the thumb. Don't be mad, okay? Wow. The ticket just vanished like that. Think it means you and your first love aren't meant to be. What a mess, huh? I frowned and went cold. You can accidentally refund a ticket? Are you always this unreliable? He panicked, voice starting to shake. I cut in, impatient. If you're that unreliable, I need to reassess this engagement. He panicked harder, on the edge of tears, begging, Isabel, don't reassess, please. I was wrong. It wasn't an accident. I did it on purpose. I clicked my tongue. Don't cry at the drop of a hat. Keep it up and you'll cry all the luck out of the house. He clamped down on the sniffles at once, hung up, calmed himself, then wired me a fat sum, tail wagging. Today's wages turning in my paycheck. The non-stop noise had me fed up. Beat it. Ping me again and I'll block you. He froze 2 seconds, tail between his legs, and withdrew every message he'd just sent. After that, aside from depositing wages, he stopped babbling. But he started showing up at my place. My dad did the usual small talk, pointed upstairs. I'll get Isabel. Jason's lips curved politely. He was about to nod when my dad shook his head. Look at me almost forgetting. You said no need to meet. You'll have plenty of forced time together later. I remember. Don't worry, won't call her. Definitely won't. He chuckled, apologetic. My memory's shot half the time. I can't remember when to take my meds. Jason was quiet for a long beat, then gave a bleak little laugh. Uncle Lopez, you won't believe this, but that day, I was out of my mind. My dad? And I should be calling you Dad now. Dad, no need to be so formal with me. My dad blinked at the sudden boot licking. Huh? Jason didn't think it odd at all. Dad, have you had breakfast? I'll go buy some. What do you like? What does Mom like? By the way, we haven't mopped yet today. The windows need wiping. Looks like there's laundry. And the dog needs a walk. Dad, you sit. I'll take care of everything. Don't worry, I've been handy since I was a kid. My dad, nervous, tiptoed over to me. Honey, is something wrong with Jason? He wasn't like this a couple days ago. Me. After that, for many days in a row, every time I came downstairs, there Jason was working without a peep. Mop in his left hand, rag in his right, scrubbing away, kneading my dad's shoulders, thumping my mum's legs, shampooing our dog. On the table, my favorite snacks, and a bouquet of bright red roses. He took every word I said to heart. I once mumbled in my nap that I wanted pig ears. It rained and no delivery would take the order, so he ran out into the storm to buy them. Guilt tugged at me. He half joked. A grandson serving his granny, just doing my duty. I sighed. Jason, you don't have to. He bit his lip, pretended not to hear, and answered, stubborn. Not sure what you mean. I'll go tidy your study. Then he holed up in there all night, left in a daze. Even took a spill on the way out. I had no idea what was going on until his message that night. Isabel, do you still miss your first love? I hedged. For anyone, the first person you love is hard to forget, right? He went quiet. I thought a moment, then added, do you mind that I had a first love? If you do, we don't have to get married. Still nothing from him. He showed up the next day anyway. Only this time he ditched the suits and shirts for an absurdly juvenile hoodie. It looked familiar, but I couldn't place it. Jason, what's with you today? He lowered his head and clenched his hands, like the words hurt coming out. Do you, like me, dressed like this? Honestly, with his looks, everything works on him. I smiled. Looks good. His eyes lit up, then dimmed again for some reason. He murmured, as long as you like it, I'm willing. That night, while I was straightening my shelves. A photo slipped out by accident, me with my first love. It had survived, only because it was tucked in a book I never tossed. I bent to pick it up and suddenly realized the hoodie on my ex looked awfully familiar, just like the one Jason's been wearing these days. So, Jason's odd behavior today was him imitating my ex? Tisk. What a fool. I couldn't help but laugh, groan, and dial Jason. My dad probably didn't spell it out. That first love of mine was too timing. We broke up because I caught him. If I go see him, it'll be to knock his lights out. The reason I want to tag along on your business trip is just to travel. I had no intention of seeing him. Jason went quiet, his voice barely hiding the glee. Why bring this up out of nowhere? Not that I wanted to know or anything. The next day, he went from cooking with a funeral face to cooking bright-eyed, even humming under his breath. From doom and gloom chef to a chip-a-little kitchen whiz. And that's how we were for a month. Day 1, I found Jason baffling. Day 7, I thought he was a little pitiful. Day 13, I realized he could be pretty cute sometimes. Day 23, I found myself wiping the sweat from his forehead without thinking. Day 30, the way his profile looked in the sun while he played chess with my dad was especially handsome. By the time I realized it, I'd already brushed a quick kiss against his cheek. He froze. The piece slipped from his fingers and clacked onto the board. The moment I registered what I'd done, I sprang up and bolted to my room. I didn't crack the door until my dad said he'd left. The next second, someone seized my wrist and tugged me out. Jason's tall shadow fell over me. One arm cinched my waist. The other tipped up my chin as he slowly bent toward me. My breath hitched. I fisted his jacket and let my eyes drift shut. He suddenly turned his head and pecked my ear instead, then pulled back fast. I blinked in surprise into his gentle, smiling eyes. With your eyes closed, what were you hoping for? Realizing he was teasing, I punched him, hot with embarrassment. Jason, you M? Before I could finish, he dipped down and covered my mouth with his. Not a fleeting taste, but a deep, claiming kiss. His warm tongue pressed past my teeth, insistent and inescapable. My knees went weak. Cold wall at my back, his heat at my front. Every breath tangled with his. Soft, scandalous sounds slipped between our lips. When it ended, I didn't dare meet his eyes. I buried my face in his chest and tried to steady my breathing. Like a puppy, he nuzzled the top of my head, voice rough. By the way, I've got some bad news. My place got robbed 2 days ago. What? Robbed? I looked up, worried. Did they take anything valuable? Jason shook his head. Nothing. I frowned. Then what did they steal? He pressed his lips together, solemn. They stole the contract we signed, the whole set. All 18 copies. I blinked. Steal the contract? What for? Jason shook his head, solemn as ever, and tucked me back into his arms. Who knows? Maybe to sell it for scrap. I caught the corners of his mouth about to fly up, and got it instantly. My scream echoed down the hall. Jason, you shameless rogue! He dipped again, shameless as ever, and sealed my mouth with his. In a blink it was our license day again. When Jason came to pick me up, I wasn't ready yet. So he stood at the door, trembling, and shook hands with the spider plant, the potted fruit tree, and the little dog. Brother no one, wish me luck getting the license. Brother no 2, bless me a happy wedding. Brother no 3, wish me a blissful marriage. Thanks. Thank you all. I'm not even that nervous anymore. Okay, that's a lie. I'm gonna die of nerves. I opened the door while he was still doing his deep breath routine. Jason, let's go time, to get the license. He froze, glanced at me once, then covered his eyes with his hand. I thought he'd been dazzled and reached to take his hand, and a cool drop landed on my skin. I jerked. Jason, what's wrong? Why are you crying? He pulled me into a hug, face buried in my neck. It feels like a dream. I used to go to the airport to see you, over and over, but only from far away. I didn't dare get closer. Afraid people would recognize me, speculate about us, even use me to smear you. I couldn't stand that. But from today on, I don't have to be afraid, because you'll be my wife. I'll be able to protect you in broad daylight. Isabel, you can go back to the industry. Do what you love. I'll support you forever. From now on, I'm your husband and your most devoted fan. My eyes stung. I patted his back. All right, stop crying. We've got pictures to take. And I'm shallow. I don't want ugly wedding photos. Jason laughed through his tears, then gripped my hand tight. Come on, Civil Affairs Bureau. That night, the top trending tag read, "Me and my bias got married, heh."